Daddy just once let me go play with her. She's so pretty and shiny. Didn't you make her just for me?
Need something different? Looking for something scary for this month? Well, look no further, because this game will fill both of those needs and more. Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location is the latest entry in Scott Cawthon's cash cow point-and-click horror franchise, and hands down my personal favourite. It does have some issues, but thankfully they really don't hamper the experience too much.
Relaxing frame of mind, we offer several musical selections to help make this elevator ride as relaxing and therapeutic as possible.
Compared to what came before it, Sister Location is much more self-contained and story-driven. Instead of focusing on the Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria, it takes place at its sister locations, Circus Babies, Rentals, and Entertainment, where you're working as a late-night maintenance employee who has to spend each night keeping the different animatronics in working order. With this game's story, Scott Cawthon got very creative. Not only is it still full of all the vague illusions and mystery that fans of the series love so much, but now there's a generous helping of humour.
Thank you for selecting Casual Bongos.
And this really helps distinguish it from the prior games without taking away the sense of fear and isolation the other games had, which itself is actually accentuated by some of the new additions put into this game. Primarily claustrophobia, as you're constantly crawling through air vents and on floors. Something else that distinguishes Sister Location is just how diverse everything is. Every night you're doing something different thanks to the new focus on narrative. Night 1, you're shocking the animatronics. Night 2, you're restarting the power supply while telling Funtime Freddy to go back to sleep.
Calm down and go back to sleep. No one is here.
And in Night 3, you're using a flashing light to avoid Funtime Foxy while you crawl to a door. Whereas back in the prior games, you'd always be doing the same thing again and again each night. With the increase in difficulty, it always ran the risk of becoming more mundane and frustrating than actually tense and exciting. Granted, this does mean that there are times where this feels less like FNAF and more like any other random point-and-click puzzle game. And the difficulty curve is almost non-existent in this, especially with a sudden jump in difficulty on Night 4, which Scott had to actually patch to make easier. Despite this though, each night still manages to be a nail-biting experience and has a character all of its own. But there are some times where this game does get rather tedious, specifically when you either restart after quitting or when you're trying a certain part of a night multiple times in a row. Unlike the prior games, when you start it up, you have to go through the same intro again and again, the same sections of vent crawling and the same dialogue sequences every friggin' time. It may not sound like too much of an issue, but it really does add up when all you want to do is just survive the night. Thankfully, this isn't necessarily the case when you die. Instead, that's its own issue.
Some were afraid of me. Others enjoyed my songs.
When you die on either night 2 or 3, you don't redo the entire night, but rather you have to redo the crawling segment near the beginning again before you have a chance at redoing the segment in which you failed. And during these crawling segments, you run the risk of dying there as well. Like the levels in Forbidden Siren, all the trial and error leads to you becoming more familiar with the patterns of the animatronics, which severely takes away from whatever dread the possibility of a well-done jump scare had before. Instead, it gets replaced with the dread that you may have to replay one of the most underwhelming platformers conceived. Like the prior games, there's a death minigame to play, where you're Circus Baby delivering cupcakes to kids, but it's clear that it was just an afterthought, as there are way too many awkwardly placed jumps, some you can't see coming because they're right at the beginning of the next screen, and I've even heard through the grapevine that there aren't even enough cupcakes to give to the kids. Despite the faults, it's still a somewhat decent distraction from the main game. I gotta tell ya, Sister Location has been the best experience I've had with the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. I dare say it comes close to being the Resident Evil 4 of the series. If you knew I haven't played any of Scott Cawthon's previous entries, this game's actually a good entry point to start off with, but for actual fans of the series, this is a dead set must-buy.
Overwhelmed, otherwise you might not come back. Please leave using the vent behind you, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you for watching. If you really like this video, then how about you like, favorite, and subscribe? And I've got some fantastic news. I've finally ordered my own internet connection, so that means no more going to my brother's or having to borrow my sister's to upload videos. I can just do it straight home from my laptop. And hell, when it goes through, I'm actually gonna check out some free-to-play games for the first time ever. You know, the ones that are always online only. And I might even do a bit of a free-to-play showcase. But in the meantime, just stay tuned for my upcoming movie review on The Girl on the Train.